Good morning and hello to tennis fans joining us from every corner of the globe. From the bustling streets of Manila to the icy courts of Moscow and right here to the shimmering lights of the United Arab Emirates. Welcome to a special breaking broadcast. We are counting down the minutes, we are counting down the seconds to a collision that is not just a tennis match, it is a narrative of destiny, a clash of generations, and a battle of contrasting styles that promises to light up the night sky in Abu Dhabi. Tonight, under the floodlights of the stadium court at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, we are witnessing a moment of history in the making. It is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. The clock is ticking towards 7 p.m. local time, and the tennis world has turned its eyes to a singular quarterfinal matchup that carries the weight of nation on one side and the cold, steely precision of a top 10 contender on the other. Ladies and gentlemen, on one side of the net, we have the pride of the Philippines, the lefty sensation, the young woman who has clawed her way from the junior circuits through the grinding qualifiers of the ITF to stand tall on the WTA 500 stage. She is currently sitting at a career-high live ranking, knocking on the door of the world's top 40. She is fresh off a miraculous, heart-stopping comeback that had the entire sporting world holding its breath just days ago. She is Alexandra Alex Eala, and staring her down across the net, a titan of the modern game, the second seed of this tournament, the world number 11, a woman whose game is built on flat, suffocating power and serve that can disarm opponents before they even settle into their stance. She represents a pinnacle of tour experience and ruthless efficiency. She is Ekaterina Alexandrova. This is Eala versus Alexandrova. This is the quarterfinal, and this is your definitive deep dive preview. Why does this match matter? Why are we dedicating this extensive broadcast to a single quarterfinal in February? Because, my friends, context is everything. To understand the gravity of tonight's 7 p.m. showdown, you have to peel back the layers. This isn't just about hitting a yellow fuzzball over a net. This is about the trajectory of Asian tennis. It is about the validation of a superstar rising from a country that breathes basketball but is learning to bleed tennis. Think about where Alex Eala was just 48 hours ago. She was down. She was out against Aleksandra Sasnovich. She was staring into the abyss, trailing 0-4 in a deciding set. 0-4 in professional tennis, that is a death sentence. The statistical probability of coming back from a double break deficit in a third set against a veteran like Sasnovich is less than 5%. Most players would have folded. Most players would have looked at the scoreboard, thought about the next tournament, and packed their bags. But Alex Eala is not most players. She dug deep into a reservoir of grit that you cannot teach. She found a gear that has forged the fires of the Rafa Nadal Academy where she has trained for years. She fought back game by game, point by grooming point, to steal that match in a tiebreak. That win wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. It shouted at a locker room, "I am here and I refuse to die." And now she faces the final boss of this section of the draw. Ekaterina Alexandrova is not Sasnovich. Alexandrova is a player who made her top 10 debut late last year. She is a player who thrives on fast, hard courts like these in Abu Dhabi. She hits the ball so early, so flat, that she takes time away from you. If Eala was tired from her marathon comeback, Alexandrova is a player designed to exploit that fatigue. She will not give Eala time to breathe. She will not give her time to set up that lefty forehand. So the question hanging over the stadium court tonight is simple yet terrifying. Can the Cinderella win continue? Can the 20-year-old Filipina riding a wave of national pride and adrenaline dismantle one of the cleanest hitters on the WTA Tour? Or will the veteran Russian extinguish the flame and remind the world why she is seated second? We are going to break this down from every conceivable angle. We will look at the biomechanics. We will look at the mental warfare. We will look at the surface speed, the atmospheric conditions at 7 p.m., and the tactical adjustments both coaches, Igor Andrea for Alexandrova and the team behind Eala, will be making in the locker room right now. This is the beauty of the WTA 500 level. It is the crucible where rising stars become superstars. A win tonight for Eala doesn't just mean a semifinal semifinal berth, it means a probable debut in the top 35. It means seeding at future Grand Slams. It means history. For Alexandrova, a win is maintenance. It's doing the job. It's holding ground against a hungry generation nipping at her heels. The pressure is different for both, and that dynamic will dictate the flow of this match. I want you to imagine the atmosphere in that stadium tonight. The Filipino expatriate community in the UAE is massive, and they are loud. They turn tennis matches into Davis Cup atmospheres. When Eala walks out onto that court, she won't be walking alone. She will have thousands of voices screaming her name. How does Alexandrova, a player who can sometimes run hot and cold emotionally, deal with a hostile crowd? How does she serve when 5,000 people are praying for a double fault? And how does Eala, still young, still learning the ropes of these big stages, handle the expectation? It is one thing to be the underdog with nothing to lose. It's another thing to be the beacon of hope for a nation, knowing that millions are watching back home, glued to their screens, praying for one more upset. We have seen Eala take down Grand Slam champions before. Remember her wins over Madison Keys? Even stunning Swiatek in Miami last year. She knows she has a level, but doing it back-to-back, backing up a miraculous comeback with a win over a top 11 player, that is the test of a true champion. Tonight at 7 p.m., the rackets will do the talking. But until then, we are going to talk about everything else. We're going to dissect the head-to-head, which stands at 0-0-0. They have never played. The element of surprise is real. We are going to analyze the serve stats, the return points won, and the breakpoint conversion rates that will decide this match. So buckle up, grab your coffee or your popcorn or whatever you need to get through this, because we are not just skimming the surface, we are diving into the deep end of professional tennis. We are witnessing the rise of a new icon in Asian sports, or the reassertion of dominance by an established elite. This is the quarterfinal. This is the moment. This is Alex Eala versus Ekaterina Alexandrova, and the coverage starts right now. Let's transition immediately into the cold, hard facts of this matchup. To understand the volatility of this quarterfinal, we have to look at the numbers and the path that brought both women to this Thursday night showdown. First, let's talk about the setting, the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open. This is a WTA 500 event in the hierarchy of tennis. This is the big leagues. It sits just below the Grand Slams in the WTA 1000s. The points on offer here are massive. For a player like Alex Eala, ranked around 45 in the world, the difference between a quarterfinal finish and a semifinal finish is the difference between being an unseeded floater at the French Open or being a seeded threat who avoids the top players in the early rounds. The match is scheduled for 7 p.m. This is a crucial detail. In Abu Dhabi, the desert heat cools down rapidly in the evening, but the humidity can linger. The ball tends to travel slightly slower through the heavier night air compared to the blazing afternoon sun. Theoretically, this favors a player who relies on spin and point construction. That favors Eala. A faster, hotter court would favor the flat, ballistic serving of Alexandrova, so Mother Nature might be giving a slight nod to Filipina tonight. Now let's look at the opponent, Ekaterina Alexandrova. If you're a casual fan, you might not realize just how dangerous this woman is. She is 31 years old, representing Russia. She is 5'9", a right-hander with a two-handed backhand. Her current ranking is number 11 in the world, and she was number 10 just a few months ago in late 2025. Alexandrova is what we call a first-strike player. She does not want to rally. She does not want to run side to side for 20 shots. She wants to hit an ace or a service winner or a return winner off your serve. Her game is built on low-margin aggression. When she is on, she is unplayable. She can hit winners from the locker room. She beat Diana Yastromska in the previous round 6-3, 6-0. She barely broke a sweat. She has spent significantly less time on court than Eala. She is fresh, she is rested, and she is the number 2 seed for a reason. Segment B, the phenomenon, Alex Eala. Now let's pivot to the story that has captured hearts. Alexandria Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino lefty. We have to contextualize her journey. Eala isn't just a tennis player, she is a project of excellence. She moved to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain at a very young age. You can see the DNA of Nadal in her game, not just because she is left-handed, but because of the way she fights. The Vamos spirit is embedded in her psyche. Her game has evolved tremendously over the last 12 months. In 2024 and 2025, we saw her transition from a promising junior to a legitimate tour threat. She won her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara. She made the semis in Miami. She is no longer just happy to be here. She belongs here. Her weapon is that lefty forehand. It has a heavy topspin that kicks up high on opponents. Against a player like Alexandrova, who likes to hit the ball flat and low, Eala's high-bouncing forehand could be the disruptor. If Eala can get the ball up above Alexandrova's shoulder, the Russian will struggle to flatten it out. That is a tactical key. But let's talk about the mental game. The match against Sasnovich in the round of 16 was a revelation. Eala was down 2-6, 6-4, and then 0-4 in the third set. The crowd had quieted down, the commentators were writing her obituary, but Eala did something incredible. She stopped missing. She started grinding. She broke back once, then twice. She forced a tiebreak, and in that tiebreak she was fearless. That kind of win changes a player. It gives you an aura of invincibility. Walking onto the court tonight, Eala knows that no scoreline is impossible. That makes her dangerous. How does this match play out? This is the first career meeting between the two, 0-0 head-to-head. That usually favors a more experienced player, Alexandrova, because she can adapt quicker. However, Eala's lefty game is tricky to read if you haven't seen it before. The serve? Alexandrova has the advantage here. She is one of the tour leaders in aces. Eala's serve is improved, but it is still attackable. Eala's second serve win percentage hovers around 45%. While Alexandrova will look to punish anything short, Eala must keep her first serve percentage high tonight. If she is hitting second serves at 75 miles per hour into Alexandrova's strike zone, the point is over. The return? This is where Eala can shine. She is a gritty returner. If she can just neutralize Alexandrova's first serve, just block it back deep, Alexandrova's movement is suspect. Alexandrova is not the best mover on tour. She prefers to stand on the baseline and dictate. If Eala can make her move, drop shots, angles, deep loops, Alexandrova's error count will rise the rally. Eala needs to extend the points. The longer the rally goes, the more the odds shift to Eala. Alexandrova is a sprinter. Eala is a marathon runner. Eala needs to turn this into a physical dogfight. She needs to make Alexandrova hit that one extra ball. Segment D, the X factors. There are two major X factors tonight. Fatigue. Eala played a nearly 3-hour epic 2 nights ago. Alexandrova played a quick 1-hour match. Will Eala's legs hold up? At 20 years old, recovery is quick, but the emotional drain of a comeback can be taxing. The crowd. I cannot stress this enough. The Filipino community in the UAE will be out in force. Tennis is usually a polite sport. Quiet, please. But when Eala plays, it's different. The cheers, the flags, the energy, it can rattle an opponent. Alexandrova can get frustrated. We have seen her body language slump when things don't go her way. If the crowd gets involved early and Eala takes an early lead, Alexandrova might feel like she is playing against the whole stadium. Segment D, historical significance. Let's zoom out for a moment. Why is this deep dive so important? Because we are watching the shifting tectonics of global tennis. For decades, tennis was dominated by the US, Europe, and Australia. But the rise of Asian tennis, Lina, Naomi Osaka, Qinwen Zhang, and now Alex is the new frontier for the Philippines. Eala is a unicorn. The country has produced world-class boxers like Pacquiao, billiard legends like Efren Reyes, and weightlifters like Hidalgo Diaz. But tennis was always a niche pursuit. Eala is changing that. Every time she steps on court, she is inspiring a generation of young Filipino kids to pick up a racket instead of a basketball. A win tonight puts her into the semifinals of a WTA 500. That is rare air. That is a territory where you start getting recognized by the general public, not just tennis hardcores. It solidifies her status as an Olympian in waiting for the next cycle. It justifies the sacrifices of her family and the investment of the Rafa Nadal Academy. Segment F, the path to victory for Eala. If I am Alex Eala's coach, what am I telling her right now? Alex, be patient. Alex, use your lefty spin to open up the court. Do not try to out-hit her. You cannot out-hit Alexandrova. You have to outsmart her. Use the drop shot. Bring her forward. She hates coming to the net. Feed off the crowd, but stay calm. Segment G, the path to victory for Alexandrova. If I am Igor Andre, Alexandrova's coach, what is the game plan? Silence the crowd early. Serve big. Aim for the tee. Attack Eala's second serve relentlessly. Step inside the baseline. Keep the points short. Do not let her drag you into a physical war. Respect the opponent, but impose your will. As we draw this extensive analysis to a close, the lights are dimming in the arena. The players are likely in the tunnel going through their final warm-up routines. The headphones are on, the focus is absolute. We have looked at the stats, we have analyzed the biomechanics, we have discussed a narrative arc of the underdog versus the favorite. But sports, in the end, are not played on paper. They are played in the moments between the heartbeats. Tonight's match at 7 p.m. is not guaranteed to anyone. The computer algorithms might say Alexandrova is the favorite. She has the ranking, the experience, the power, but the heart says you cannot discount Alex Eala. You cannot discount a player who refuses to accept defeat. You cannot measure heart in a spreadsheet. If Eala wins tonight, it will be the biggest headline in the tennis world tomorrow morning. It will be the upset of the week. It will catapult her ranking into a zone where she becomes a direct entry for every major tournament in the world. It changes her career trajectory. If Alexandrova wins, it is a reaffirmation of the hierarchy. It sets up a blockbuster semifinal likely against another heavy hitter like Samsonova or Baptiste. It keeps her on track for another title to add to her cabinet. But regardless of the result, what we are seeing tonight is the beauty of competition. Two women from two vastly different backgrounds meeting in the desert to find out who is better on this specific day. I want you to think about the pressure on Alex Eala's shoulders. She's just 20. Imagine carrying the hopes of 115 million Filipinos. Every unforced error feels like a letdown. Every winner feels like a national celebration. And yet, she plays with smile. She plays with joy. That is her greatest weapon. And think about Alexandrova, the pressure to maintain her spot, to fend off the next big thing. It's a lonely place at the top, constantly looking over your shoulder. She has to be ruthless tonight. She cannot afford mercy. So here's my final call. Do not miss this match. Tune in, stream it, watch the live scores. Because 7 p.m. tonight isn't just a time slot, it's a collision course. We will be back immediately after the match with a full post-match breakdown. We will analyze every set, every breakpoint, and every controversial call. We will have the press conference quotes. We will have the updated rankings. But for now, the stage is set, the actors are ready, the Philippines is watching, Russia is watching, the world is watching. Can the lefty magic strike again, or will the Russian power prevail? Thank you for staying with us through this deep dive. This has been your comprehensive preview of the quarterfinal at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open. Alex Eala at Ekaterina Alexandrova. 7 p.m. Stadium Court. History awaits. Enjoy the match, everyone.